Let me know when you guys feel like enough people have filtered in. I can give the Hero Galaxy TLDR for folks who were otherwise unaware of what we're up to.
Yeah, we can probably get going a little bit here. Not sure if you want to start out, yeah, like you were saying, with a little TLDR or go into your background a little bit. Whatever
Yeah.
you think makes more sense.
Well, I'll try not to talk myself up too much and spare everybody, but my name is Nicholas. Started Hero Galaxy in January of this year, started working on it in December behind the scenes. Came from Amazon Web Services, where I was running about a $500 million business unit mapped to a few of AWS's largest customers. But it had been, crypto native since like about 10 years ago and spending all my time secretly staring at charts and looking at OpenSea. And so it was a natural fit. The idea behind Hero Galaxy, right, is that basically in a rush to move from Web 2 to Web 3, we kind of left behind an intermediary stage where anybody who wasn't already crypto native was able to onboard in the context of, eliminating some of the friction that folks on their way into this space have to experience that otherwise precludes people from joining, right? Only something like a million active NFT holding wallet addresses today, which makes the play to earn gaming market unreasonably small relative to the benefit that it could theoretically provide to a world of gamers, right? And so the idea behind Hero Galaxy was to remove friction for a regular gamer's journey into Web3, such that we could abstract away most of anything that they would have to deal with that didn't feel video game like, and leave them with solely the benefits of Web3, right? And so we built originally on a platform called NFT Worlds, ultimately kind of outgrew the tooling that they had built and started building things in house. We built managed wallets in house tied to an account system, crypto, cash to crypto on ramp, and a few different other things that kind of basically just remove a gamer's need to deal with any Web3 interactions. And then our idea was to bring that directly to games that gamers already knew. We're starting with Minecraft. We have an in-browser game up as of this last week, and we've arranged tokenomics such that we're not having to gate the size of the game to derive value to our token holders so much as our impetus is to grow the game to the maximum size possible, reach as many players as possible, on-ramp as many Web 2 gamers into Web 3 as possible. We've arranged our economics such that our holders benefit from the growth of the ecosystem as a whole. Like I mentioned, we're still very much in alpha, beta, have quite a few games live in Minecraft and have had 11,000 unique users in those games, but DAU remains lower than we'd like, and we're still in the process of building out this kind of in-browser ecosystem of games to grow the ecosystem as a whole to the benefit of our holders. And so I think the TLDR really is just removing crypto friction wherever we can find it, and then bringing Web3 benefits to Web 2 gamers where they already are. And that is longer than I meant to talk for, so apologies.
No, it's good. It's definitely a cool thing you're building, and I'm thinking that that easy barrier to entry is a very important step that a lot of people aren't focusing on, just because Web3 is not simple right now, at least. And we're not going to reach that mass adoption levels without having that easy on ramp.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and I've been saying that for a while, where it's like, Web3 gets mass adoption when fees are low and on ramping into Web3 is as seamless as using a mobile game app today, right? It works when all the Web3 tech, wallet creating, on ramping, fiat, all that stuff kind of, let's say, disappears into the bushes, like that GIF of Homer Simpson, right? The end user with nothing but the benefits of Web3. And so that's kind of what we're trying to do with Hero Galaxy, is make sure that, hey, regular gamers UX is the same as any other video game. It just so happens that they are getting tangible benefits from Web3. Because in a vacuum, the idea, right, is that, like, if you have a choice between playing for free or having your effort inside of a game create things that are tangible, that can be directly owned by you and theoretically resold at the end of your playtime, then the choice that provides the most value to the end user is ultimately the one that wins out. And it's kind of what we're betting on, and seems like a no-brainer to me. It is just a matter of kind of smoothing out that on ramp.
Definitely. So do you want to go a little bit into like the actual game itself? Maybe kind of what the gameplay looks like, what kind of game it is.
Yeah, that's a good question. So we're building a lot of different things, right? So our in-browser game that's available, we actually just fixed a bug in like 20 minutes and put it back up, and we've seen a few thousand users in that one. It's HeroGalaxy.io/rocket-game, and that's just a simple, test of our internal payment rails and prep for some upcoming updates to our tokenomics. As it pertains to Minecraft, we built out I would say 25% of what we're going to need to have done. Ultimately, the idea is to build out, as many mini games inside Minecraft as we believe are necessary to sustain a high daily active user count, right? So we're looking at things that are already successful in Web 2, right, where players are playing for free and spending a lot of time, and then recreating them to the extent that we're able better if we're able to. And obviously, that is a long uphill battle that we've been working on for the last few months, but it's starting to proceed a lot more quickly. And then the idea is once we're done having created the mini games that are familiar to Minecraft players that they're already interested in, we'll slot them into an expansive kind of lore-driven RPG progression system. And that'll be rolling out in the end of Q4. So today you can go into Hero Galaxy and you can earn cryptocurrency playing, I would say, maybe 30, yeah, like I said, 30% of the popular Minecraft mini games that exist today that see on servers like Hypixel, tens of thousands of daily active users. And as we progress, we'll be building more of those. Have more coming out this week, and ultimately. When we feel like the ecosystem is in a place where players aren't liable to churn out of it and the engagement is high enough, start marketing it with your regular Web 2 influencer gaming cast of characters, which is something that's in the works for next month. And so, idea being, if and just to back up a little bit, I mentioned a little bit how our tokenomics are a bit different. Historically, the model rate has been you gate your play to earn game to the total number of tokens you have, and that's what drives value to the tokens is access to the game, which is great, except for that it artificially kind of limits your ability to on ramp players en masse, right? And the idea here is to bring the regular world into Web 3 from Web 2, and so we can't have a gate, which means we needed to come up with a way to confer value to our holders without gating the size of the game. Enter this artifact system, and so I think we're either the first or the second, depending on how you look at it, project to create NFTs that act as wearable in-game items that you can actually equip on our site to your Genesis Hero NFTs or class of NFTs that we'll ultimately release to regular gamers. And the idea behind the artifacts, right, is that as we have more gamers enter the ecosystem, placing intangible value on these artifacts, which produce effects in game. Obviously, the value relative to the increasing demand of regular gamers onboarding into the ecosystem increases the value of these NFTs, which are then dropped to our holders for free 4 times a month. And so the idea becomes, hey, if we're able to onboard as many gamers as possible, those free drops to our holders grow increasingly more valuable. And that is the game as it exists today in a nutshell, right? This very extensive Web3 layer, the bones of everything that we need to have created to start on-ramping gamers en masse, and then a little bit ways to go before we're ready to start competing with existing Web2 Minecraft server offerings in browser games like Miniclip, things like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it definitely sounds very planned out, and it sounds like a very good plan. You were saying a minute ago about how you're taking a lot of popular Minecraft mini games and other popular games and kind of Web3 ifying them. I think
Mhm.
that's a really smart approach because there's no reason to reinvent the wheel. If there's a game that's already popular or some sort of game genre, I guess. Might as well take that into Web3 where you can add additional features like owning your own items, the play to earn or play and earn models. I think it's a very smart approach.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's really just. I think the biggest friction point beyond having to on ramp fiat, right, is that most of the play to earn games that exist today are either heavily under development and due out in Q4, or just the most basic just DeFi reskinned with a gambling element and unsustainable tokenomics. And our idea was basically like, well, I think we missed the part where we were, supposed to be meeting gamers where they actually are today, such that it's not, a huge lift for them to understand how to get into Web3 and kind of start experiencing some of the benefits with all the, the things that have historically flooded them, let's say, out of the space, removed. Right. Best approach in our heads is let's meet them where they actually are, and then ultimately the idea that sits behind Hero Galaxy is to make this an ecosystem play, right? So we've built all the tools that anybody would need to use in order to, let's say, on-ramp gamers into Web3, right? Managed wallets, payment rails, Morales replacement, because we had nothing but trouble with them. And so the idea from here is let's start exposing these services that we've created as APIs to other people who can go, create games and benefit from this network effect that we've created, the stable economy that we've created, right? My idea is, I think basically that this idea of metaverse land is a little bit outdated, right? The current model for access to play to earn ecosystem, right, is this in all cases, sale of metaverse land, which confers you access to an ecosystem and benefits therein. And it kind of doesn't make sense to me because the entire world has shifted from this kind of capex upfront expenditure for benefits model to an opex model where you're paying on a subscription that you're being charged for on the basis of your consumption. And it doesn't make sense to me that you would be looking for network effect with a fixed supply of costly land so much as a suite of services and tools that allow you to build out what you need to build out without spending a lot of money up front. And so our idea is, hey, if we're able to do this in Minecraft, which we're well on the way to doing, then following our splashy marketing in regards to Minecraft, you're a Web2 Minecraft server operator and you're hearing that your competition is now paying its players in cryptocurrency to play, or probably you're looking for a way to do that. And so we're believe that we'd be able to make a strong ecosystem play on the back of the marketing for our core game offering to allow other folks who, quite frankly, probably have more experience operating Minecraft servers and engaging players to just simply start building with our very well documented and very easy to use API, right? Just bolt right into the ecosystem, bring the gamers that they already have, and confer value to the economy that we've created that is welcoming them in with open arms. Well thought out might be a stretch, but we're thinking about it as hard as we can. It's been a lot of me in my room, stoned, staring at my wall for the last year or so before we even moved at this. So I appreciate the compliment. Thank you.
It's the way to go for sure. Yeah. So real quick on the topic of just Minecraft and virtual land. So JG Spire, he asked, what are you thinking about the inflationary aspects of the world ecosystem?
I think what we think about that will be abundantly clear in a month or so. But and knew those guys from before this, and so I would be remiss relative to all that they've done to be saying that anything that they've done is wrong. But my take is that it is in its current state, pending an update, not making a whole lot of sense, right? Obviously, back to the fixed supply metaverse land, if your impetus as a project is to provide value to landowners, then that necessarily drives up the cost to entry of the metaverse itself, right? And limits the network effect that it can create therein. Moreover, in creating value to those holders in the form of token, you run the risk without any buy side action and sans any DeFi magic, lockup stakes, sinks, things like that. Obviously, creating an inflationary ecosystem. And so, I think barring some changes and some DeFi magic, in the short term, obviously, no reason for things not to continue as they already have continued. And then in the long term, right, the way to think about an economy like this is, does the buy side pressure for the token exceed the sell side pressure for the token? And so, I think one of the things that we're not seeing that we wanted to see and that we're going to ultimately have to do ourselves is positive impetus for anyone building on the platform to create buy-side action for the token. I think the model right now, right, is encouraging player count only, and we're not seeing a whole lot of projects actually make any meaningful effort to create, outside of us, create any buy-side action for the token itself. And so I think obviously it's a year or two, 2 or 3 years out from being fixed, and it will definitely work ultimately with some changes. But in the near term, relative to the economics as they're designed today, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Which relative to the speed that we're going at and the tech that we've been able to design ourselves means that we're kind of in this position to have to look at leaning further into this artifact economy that we've created, our own ERC 721s, where we've built in inflationary and deflationary levers to kind of, our intention, right, is to keep the price of them static or more or less static relative to the fact that we have both these dynamic levers built in. Kind of doesn't work like a traditional NFT project in that our concern is not ultimately driving the floor price of the wearables up as far as and high as we can, because it necessarily precludes regular gamers from having any interest in participating in the ecosystem if everything is out of reach. More so, our intention is to pull the levers that we've created, both inflationary and deflationary, to keep those let's say common level artifacts at a floor price of $4 to $15, well in reach of a regular gamer, such that we maximize ecosystem participation. Right, I think like high value, high dollar value NFTs are another thing where, it is great for right now for the NFT gamers that exist, but in the context of mass adoption, doesn't make a whole lot of sense, because the reality is, 3 billion gamers on Earth, and most of them can only spend, $3 a year on a game, if that. And so, you have to kind of make it make more sense, I think, is the bottom line.
Yeah, I mean, it's important that it's sustainable. It's easy to make a game, play to earn game in the bull market, but it's a lot harder in the bear market, right? Because you need solid, fundamentals, like like you were saying, with inflation and deflationary mechanics.
Right.
Um, I think I don't know. I'm not sure if you ever thought of this analogy before, but kind of like CS:GO. I
Yeah.
think that's a pretty good ecosystem. Where if
Yeah.
you want to spend, $100 or $1,000 on a skin, you totally can. Uh, but at the same time, there's a ton of skins that still look super cool that are available for just a few pennies.
Right, exactly, and that's been in my mind in creating this too. Is ultimately, and not that our intention is to let the artifact floor price in the common level go all the way to 5 cents or whatever the lowest battle scarred AK skin is in CS:GO, but it's been in the back of my mind in the context of creating a game like this, that hey, like, you need opportunities for everybody, no matter the amount of money they have, to participate in the ecosystem if they want to, because otherwise, how are you introducing the benefits of Web3 to gamers at scale if you're not like you're only capturing the top 0.5% richest of them all? Makes no sense.
Definitely. So I'm kind of curious. You were talking earlier about how you guys are creating, APIs and other things people can integrate into your games. What does your team look like? How many people do you
Um,
have on there? What kind of, backgrounds does everyone else have?
yeah, good question. So we're all mostly kind of Fang divorcees, right? Like, I left a 500K plus job a year with my middle finger in the air to go do this, and most of my teammates are the same way. Funny stories, like, on paper, we all look like, we're this and that. Like, our CFO is the controller. He's abused work from home to become the controller of two separate venture funds with $5 billion assets under management. And we've got, 3 or 4 ex senior Google and AWS engineers, all really, really smart guys. But at the end of the day, like, we were all kind of friends before this, most of us, right? And we were all hanging out in Discord talking about trading and NFTs anyway already all day long. And so for us, this is just kind of like a bunch of gamers all happen to be friends who were all successful in Web 2 in the tech world, just kind of strolling into Web 3 and trying to do something cool. And it's been a lot of fun. And one of the things we're realizing as we get in here is like, hey, most of the tooling that exists for Web 3 today is like garbage. Like, it is just, we're still so early, and most of the stuff that we've run into, even the big names like Moralis, where they've raised 10 million in funding really recently, have products out that are like barely usable by folks with the backgrounds that our engineers have. And so, like, to anybody who's listening, who's like on the fence, bull, bear market, whatever, starting a Web 3 business, it's like, if you look under the hood, there's a lot of opportunity still here. And it is we're only probably 2% deep into what has been created relative to what will be created in a market like this. And so, fortunate to know these guys, most of them before this, just in the context of like it's not an easy ask to make of somebody to walk away from, $500,000+ a year as an engineer to come work on work on a video game. And so in that context, I've been really fortunate to just know some of the folks that I've known.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely sounds very organic, which is what you want to hear. And then real quick, for anyone that's just joining us, we're in AMA questions chat, just about 2 channels above the community AMA's channel. If you have any questions or have anything to say at all. So I guess I'm not sure if we talked about this much, but about your upcoming mint. You want to go into that a little bit?
Yeah, for sure. So this is the second of many parts to the Hero Galaxy story, right? Obviously, you have heroes, you need villains, and we were kind of, in the context of releasing a total collection size that looks pretty close to a 10K, right? Planning these anti-heroes from the start. And so that was, a lot of thought for me, at least, went into that in the context of, you do a second mint, you're in danger, in most cases in the context of a PFP, right, where your community and kind of the let's say amount of money that they're willing to spend on your collection is necessarily diluted by a second collection. And so in the context of our second mint, the way we're thinking about it is how do we provide non-dilutive utility to these anti-heroes. Coming up on June 18th, you'll be able to mint an anti-hero. And so the first thing that we did, right, was 4,800 of the 6,666 anti-heroes possible to be minted were dropped for free on our staked holders. That was important. The next thing we did, right, was structure the utility in a way where they're not pulling from any of the existing mechanisms that reward the heroes. So right from the beginning, we stipulated that, hey, if you're staked and you're a hero and you unstake early, you'll be penalized starting at 10% of those staking rewards, whittling all the way down to 0, depending on the time staked. And so the rewards pool in token from the anti-heroes comes from the rewards that are penalized from heroes that unstake early, non-deflationary utility. The next thing, as far as meaningful rewards mechanisms, we've created this in the back end tool called the Forge, and the Forge lets you combine, 5 artifacts of a lower rarity and get one of a higher rarity, kind of the League of Legends rune combiner type of approach. And we're working on a sister to the Forge called the Ultra Forge. Very creative nomenclature here. And the Ultra Forge lets you theoretically risk some of the artifact NFTs, these wearables that we've been talking about, in exchange for a chance at a higher rarity. And so the anti-heroes will be able to steal some of those Forge rewards when they fail. And then the last thing is anti-heroes are rewarded with 1 artifact per month as opposed to the heroes 4. Which in our heads, between all those mechanics, pegs their value at something like 1/3 to 1/4 relative to ROI on a monthly basis, the value of a hero, and lets us kind of provide them this giant amount of utility. A few other things that I haven't mentioned that are in our Git book, without reaching into the pockets of our existing holders so much as rewarding them for being there and dropping the passes for free. And then obviously, what remains is these about 1,800 whitelist spots that we are in the process of dishing out in the Discord. One of the things that I said after the first mint that we did was that I would never do a public sale again, simply because it just turned into such a shit show. Like mitigating sentiment after selling out people who didn't get to mint, who wanted to mint and lost gas, is like, that sucked, and I felt really bad. So we're doing this purely whitelist, have a whitelist of 933 spots, and we filled about half of them out, and we're handing those spots out just to people who are, in the Discord being cool, not forcing anybody to grind or anything like that so much as just come hang out. And if you're demonstrating interest or just telling friends about it, it's like, here you go. If you want it, you got it. And that's how we're thinking about the second mint. Pretty cool. And it lets us open up this whole suite of in-browser games that we've got planned in the back end that'll be available only to holders, and allows us to establish kind of this hero v villain interplay, both in the context of the lore and in the context of some of these in-browser games that we're releasing. So it's like this necessary building block for the Hero Galaxy story.
Yeah, sounds cool. Yeah. So I guess you just mentioned that it's primarily focused on the browser. Do you guys have any plans to maybe create some sort of client, or maybe even expand into other areas like VR, for example?
Yeah, so we actually got kind of like you can do VR inside of Minecraft, and we got something like that going on behind the scenes right now. There's actually an artifact on the market right now that gets you early beta access to the VR world that we're creating due out like mid Q3. We got to design a lot of plugins and textures bespoke for something like that to make it, quite frankly, it should not look like shit. And so, from our perspective, it's like sky's the limit as far as where we could go, and what we're like planning on leaning on in this context is this ecosystem effect that we'll be here in another month or so actively positioning ourselves to create, right? Like all of our marketing as it pertains to regular gamers will also serve to land people on this very easy to use API that'll let folks build Hero Galaxy tech into their existing games or games that they want to create very easily. And so our plan is like, to some extent, after a while, it is turning the keys over to an entire host of video game developers who just want to use the best tech on the market to create play to earn games with and build payments and NFT mints and NFT swaps, things like that into their existing games or the new games that they create. Because like one of the things that I'm kind of trying to build this from a looking at what I perceive to be the future type of perspective. And one of the things that I've been harping on since we started this is like, hey, most of the play to earn games that exist today will fail ultimately because human beings simply just are not capable of designing game theory dynamic enough to sustain fluctuating player interest over time as it pertains to the value of a token. And so our idea is, hey, if we build these rails and we build this economy that folks could bolt into, that we could be the saving grace for a lot of player earns as their economies kind of start to falter relative to just like, I just think it's kind of funny. Like, most of the reason all of us are here, at least some of us are here, is because, you kind of in getting into crypto realize that fiat currency is bullshit, right? One man or one group of people kind of behind the curtain making decisions as to how exactly the entire currency system works, and I think that should more or less have shown people the folly of humans in the loop in that context. And yet we have all these play to earn games where behind the economics are just a few guys who are trying their best. And our thought there is like, as we progress, it definitely won't be us. It'll be artificial intelligence that we're in the process of training, acting as the Fed. Um, try something different. Maybe we're not smart enough, but maybe the robots are.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's been very, very few crypto games, let alone play to earn games that I've actually had a fun time playing. If you can play them, just because there's so many, run into so many issues just with, wallet connections and needing to own an NFT to play, where this would solve a lot of those problems.
Well,
And it's
right.
like,
And then you have all these game publishers treating their gamers as investors that their job is to reward. And that's true definitely in our project, but our primary impetus is to structure the game in a way where gamers can actually onboard because that's the way that our investors are maximally rewarded. And so it's just really about aligning incentives appropriately as opposed to just, like yeah, I think you're doomed for inflation if your ultimate goal is you're having to like reward landholders and gate the access to the game therein. It makes no sense um, to me at least.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, and it's like in 5 years from now, for example, it's like, or even 1 or 2 years from now, like I don't see me using MetaMask to play a game. There's gonna be some new tech, some new you know something, right?
Right.
And it's whoever adapts is going to survive, and whoever doesn't won't survive, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah, it's just making all the crypto interaction fade into the background relative to an account system, right? Because you can give people the benefits of Web3, right? You can have a wallet that is managed by a company like Hero Galaxy in the background that can still let you transfer your assets out of it whenever you please and go sell them on the open market if you decide to. Um, but you don't necessarily just like you. I think that there's like back to the whole point about Web 2.5, right? There's this sort of at this juncture necessary element of centralization in some cases if the centralization is set up to be automated to the benefit of the end user, right? Like you don't get mass adoption without ease of access and ease of use, and that is definitely not signing transactions on MetaMask or paying $30 in gas every time you want to do something in a game, um, for better or for worse.
Definitely, yeah. So I'm kind of here. I'm kind of curious to see what you think about this. I was at I was at an event, a crypto event, a couple of weeks ago, and one of the Fortnite founders was there actually, and he's super into crypto, super into Web3, all that stuff. And he was basically saying that as far as Fortnite goes, there's really no blockchain that exists that could even support their marketplace, their skins marketplace,
Yeah.
just because they're doing thousands of transactions per second, while even Solana, which is somewhat centralized, can only do what maybe a thousand. I'm not sure what the exact number is, to be honest.
Yeah.
But there's no real kind of reliable blockchain out there for really mass scaling.
Yeah.
So I think kind of with that, I think a lot of the ambitions of these games coming out are a little ambitious. Trying to
Well,
create.
right, exactly. Yeah, it's like how do you scale past the maximum throughput of any blockchain that exists right now? I don't know, Solana can you like can we even count that anymore if they can take it offline
Yeah.
for a
Well,
day?
as long as it's during the business hours.
Yeah, exactly. Like I think we're actually outside of Solana business hours right now at 7 p.m. here in Seattle. So I think
Yeah.
it's a fucking tough question though, right? Like I've thought about this a lot. Like, because if the ambition is regular gamer mainstream scale, then you need to have infra on the back end that could theoretically support it. And so our answer to that is been kind of twofold on the back end, right? I think that the biggest thing, right, is syncing, right? Like you're not going to be able to hit the TPS that you want to on any blockchain today if you go over something like 500,000 DAU and they're all transacting and interacting all at once. But if you are able to batch transactions, right, save player state in Web 2 and then push those updates to the blockchain on chain at the player's whim or at a regular interval every hour or so, then you're able to you're able to minimize the back and forth IO throughput that whatever you want to call it that's necessary actually on chain in favor of more like what we've been talking about, which is Web 2.5. Right, you have a lot of things occurring in Web 2 inside of a trustless system whereby ultimately whatever goes on in Web 2, where the throughput is high enough and where the tech is good enough, ultimately gets reflected on chain. Like our equipping feature, for example, right? Like not something that would be possible barring thousands of dollars in gas fees if it were something that happened entirely on chain, but pulling part of it off chain into a set of functions that we've created to run autonomously on the back end means that you're able to do something like modify the appearance of an NFT by on the ETH mainnet by burning a Polygon NFT on the Polygon network for one half of 1 penny, and you have it happen instantly. We've only had one bug so far. Fucking cool. So the answer is again, it's like mirroring Web 2 tech that already exists that can handle the throughput necessary with the benefits of Web 3 to create this kind of like more seamless on ramp. I think everybody's just in a rush to get to Web 3 and rush to join this new world. We forgot to figure out how the fuck to drag everybody else with us, and so that's kind of where my mind has been at work for the last year or so. Is like how do you make this palatable to a mainstream person such that the Twitch comments are not all just fucking NFTs or a scam and or whatever.
Yeah, that's what it'll take to get that mass adoption too. Because like you just said, if you go on Twitch or if you go on Reddit, everyone goes, "Oh, NFTs are a scam." Look at this fad; it's not going to survive. They get mad at game developers. Whenever they announce some sort of NFT feature.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to take a while of legit games and legit developers showing that NFTs aren't just a cash grab. And I mean, I'm sure there'll still be game developers that use them as a cash grab.
Oh,
Um,
definitely. Even Neopets tried to cash grab with NFTs. They were panned for it too. I was really sad. Growing up playing Neopets was like really nice training for like being a trader in an illiquid market, right? That was like I don't know. My seems like my childhood has been basically laid out for me in this Web 3 career, right? Like I spent all my time in front of a computer talking, like I was playing video games as a child and trading in an illiquid market, which is just Neopets, and it's like yeah, there's definitely some throwbacks here.
so yeah, guys, if anyone else has any questions, you just drop them in the AMA questions. Um, No question's a bad question.
Would have been nice if there was a tweet about this earlier. I did retweet.
Yeah, I
And
was gonna say, I think I saw the tweet.
I did. I'm receding into the background as it pertains to managing some of these customer facing activities. Like I just for for folks here from Hero Galaxy who want a window into the life of a project founder. In the beginning, it was literally just me and like four really smart operators, engineers, right? And so everything customer facing about Hero Galaxy, everything you saw, every interaction in the Discord, every tweet, every marketing post, that was all me, just sitting for 15 hours a day in front of my computer. It's like like you can make this great case about founder work ethic, and that's awesome. But reality is like beyond a certain amount of work hours in a day, what I'm coming to realize is you're just non-productive. Like I can sit and stare at the Discord as long as I want, but I'm producing ideas that are worse than if I were to fucking take a break. And so that's what I'm in the process of trying to do. Right, we're mid raising around, getting some solid backing from the Polygon Ecosystem Dev Fund, among others, to let us hire a lot more engineers and more people to kind of peel work that is for the last year or so been on my plate, off of my plate, so that I have time to like breathe and think and be more strategic about the things that we're doing. Praise be. One of those is Twitter. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the the public facing stuff's definitely tricky, and being in Web3, a whole new world, it makes it even more spicy.
Right.
There's no
Definitely spicy.
standards. There's no marketing services. Everyone's new, right?
Right. Yeah, I make this joke a lot about like it's like you've got these NFT project founders out here rugging people, and then behind them you've got like fake Twitter influencers with like 100,000 bot followers rugging the NFT projects, and then behind them you got like some bot farm somewhere, probably China, rugging the rugging the Twitter people, and it's like yeah, it's just a weird like it's an incredible and also there are some drawbacks way to build a business like obviously in our case like we've grown to something like on paper relative to the user base and the transactions that we've done so far, like a 40 to 50 million dollar project valuation, and that is entirely organic, right? That is just the incredible community that we have here, and we've not needed to take a cent from any institutional backing, and we've made it this far, and that's insanely incredible. But drawback of that, right, is like I think that one of the things that I see a lot of project founders fall prey to, let's say, is this like you have a captive audience, and you're their captive, and you are under constant pressure to be delivering new things just to keep people entertained and engaged. And I think to some extent it inspires people to put out things before they're ready, or just simply to appease the requests of the people that they're making up their audience, without taking a step back and kind of looking for the future, as far as like what in the context of development needs to be prioritized for like the long-term success of the project 1 year out, as opposed to waylaying everybody for near-term splashy development. And so it's like that's been a hard balance for us to strike. I think we're getting a lot better at it in terms of like my own people-pleasing nature, not setting our engineers' hair on fire for a week straight of sleepless nights, while still maintaining the trust of the folks that we've got here. And it's definitely like a balance to strike. Some good things and bad things about running a business in Web3, but you definitely have to be a lot more honest, I think. Um, to the amount of scrutiny that you're under, and it's definitely a good thing, right? Like being a Docs project founder with my LinkedIn and the white paper, it's like no work for me to try to do anything but be altruistic, and I think that that's like probably the future of building businesses. Period.
Definitely. Yep. So we got a question here from Staff 5000. He wants to know, are we allowed to hear more about this Polygon Fund thing?
Yeah, I can speak so I can speak in generalities. So we in the shit. It's been about 2.5 months since we released the artifact collection. We've quickly grown to on the 90-day mark, like a top 10, top 5 project on Polygon, and we're like 5% of the way done. Like the artifacts have 1/10 of the utility that they'll have at scale. And so in that context, obviously, since we're building it on Polygon, Polygon looks at us as being kind of like a good shining example of what could be built on Polygon in the terms of play to earn games, and is otherwise interested in in investing in our success therein to some extent or another relative to the fund that they have going to build up the development of their ecosystem. Right? It's like we help them a lot. I think, and obviously our elective use of their chain is definitely a good proof point for them now that will be a fucking incredible proof point for them later. And so in that context, it's like we've started to get a lot more attention from like we're listed inside Polygon indexes now, a couple of them, and the Polygon guys are now have a like more interest in speaking to us relative to the beginning when we were just starting out. So definitely a good thing, because then I get to place to send feedback about like why do I have to max out the gas on all my fucking transactions to get them to go through.
Yeah, Polygon's doing a lot of really great stuff for, I mean, Web3, but crypto gaming in general.
Yeah, definitely.
Um,
Really good question about the optimal role a non-gamer who knows Web3 is the future and sees the value in what you're creating and playing your project. Yeah, so like one of the things that was very important to me in the context of standing this up is that if folks are holding our NFTs, they don't have to be gamers, they just have to be believers, right? And so that's the reason we introduced the staking element, and that's the reason we structured the anti-hero rewards elements the way that they are, and that people can be passive and not play and still be rewarded as a function of simply holding the NFT based upon the growth of the ecosystem as a whole, right? Like I would say 99 fuck yeah, like 99%, 95% of the people that we have as our holders believe in this vision that Web3 can be brought to Web2 games to their benefit relative to the growth of the ecosystem, but would never ever touch Minecraft. A lot more of them have played our in-browser game that we've released recently, but like reality is most people simply, especially people who are here right now, like where hero price point is $1,500 plus, like most of those people are not people who have a ton of time to dedicate to playing video games. And so most of the hero reward mechanics are structured such that you can just be passive if you stake and sit there believing in this ecosystem and the growth and the work that we're doing, without necessarily having to go play the games, and still be rewarded just the same as if you were playing the game, simply just by virtue of the fact that you like care enough about what we're doing to be here holding. It's like, man, I owe you because you've spared me having to deal with institutional investors for a solid 5 months. And so, it's like my, number one or two on my ethos relative to, actually accomplishing what we set out to accomplish, bringing Web3 to gamers, is like, how do we reward the folks that have been here with us this whole time? And we're getting better and better about that. And I think, if you believe in the project and just want to stake and watch us work and benefit from the growth of the ecosystem, that I'll be, dropping as much value on you as possible. I think most hero holders, like who minted at, 0.069, have now 10x their investment. And as an aside from that, been dropped somewhere per hero in today's ETH value, something like 1.5 to 2 ETH in value just in free airdrops. And so it's like a 3,000% ROI for everybody who just staked and believed in us this whole time, and I expect that, and we'll force that to continue.
yeah, that's not bad at all.
Yeah.
Not bad
Yeah,
ROI.
like we minted at the meme price, and so we've got hopefully some meme magic behind us. I can keep it going.
The meme magic is important.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I got asked a question on the AMA last week about, like, how do you as a project founder feel about like the instant success and something like a Goblin Town, and my answer was like, a lot of stuff like that is a flash in the pan and it'll go away eventually. But something like that, it's like I have some stuff to learn about harnessing meme energy, and so I'm sitting here taking notes.
Yeah, I mean, for every Goblin Town, there's 10,000 other projects that launched and minted one NFT, right? That's how I look at it.
Dude, I'm so convinced it's Yuga. I'm gonna put my conspiracy hat on for like half a second and talk as former degen as opposed to project founder. But like something about the amount of Goblin derivatives that cropped up immediately after Goblin Town's success reminded me so much of like like August through like November of last year, where we saw everything on the top 10 was a Bored Ape derivative, right? Um, and all these projects where they're just like super derivatives all have like crazy high quality art, right? And they're all cropping out of nowhere really fast. And like I like now have this theory in my head that like if it is Yuga behind Goblins, that part of like this cropping up of derivatives is like literally part of some playbook to boost the value of the Genesis NFT. It's like that maybe is far fetched, and anyone who was in our community heard me complaining about Yuga in the context of them writing that shitty contract for the other side mint and then immediately complaining about Ethereum as a precursor to them releasing Ape Chain or whatever. And so like grain of salt or whatever, but it's like, man, those derivatives cropped up really fast. It's like shocking to me.
I like it. I like the idea of a few Yuga devs just getting bored one day and launching Goblin Town and like 10 derivatives.
Yep. Again, I have some stuff to learn, right? Like we've been too, for better or for worse, I've been trying to run this like a business, and obviously, as I've discussed today, there's software as a service offering sitting behind this, or let's call it metaverse as a service. And I think I've been, like thinking too hard like a former Amazon guy, and not hard enough like did Jen. But you live and you learn.
Yeah, the space moves quick, and if you step away for a couple of days, it's a whole new world for sure.
Yeah, you missed 10 free minutes. My I that like one of the funniest ones that I've seen recently was that I'll poop it. Just a pile of poop. My girlfriend bought one at like 0.01, and I stupidly told her to sell it at like 0.5, and robbed her of like 0.7 ETH in gains. Yeah, clearly I've got some stuff to learn.
Not bad games though.
No, not bad.
All right. We have any questions here? We probably got another 8-10 minutes left here. So, do you have
Yeah,
any burning questions you want to know before this ends?
yeah. I've already abandoned professionalism here talking about I'll poop it. So really anything is on the table.
Any questions?
But if there aren't any more questions, I can kind of talk about, how we see the near-term future of this. If any folks are here who like maybe have followed us or just don't care and are hearing about us for the first time, I can tell you, hey, what's coming in the next couple months, 3 months, just to give everybody something to be excited about. So we talked about leaning harder into kind of our own tokenomics, and that's something that folks will see in the next 5-6 weeks. That'll happen in conjunction with some of the backing that I've been talking about. Right, it's time for this business to grow up a little bit in the context of us. Me in particular. Forking over some equity in it to secure backing from folks who can kind of move us from this, mid-tier. I think we're like a top 100, top 150, something like that by volume across all our collections NFT project on Earth. And I want, number 10, number one. And so part of that is like, obviously, taking backing from folks who know the things that we don't know, and can help me find operators and folks to kind of take this to the next level. That's the next 5-6 weeks. And then in terms of like customer facing development, I'm most excited about this suite of in-browser games that we're working on. A beta version of one is up right now called Rocket Game, and it's super simple, but it's a lot of fun. Half our team is now addicted to it and getting no work done. The play there, right, is we use this test of a simple Miniclip-esque in-browser minigame, right, and then we add another and another and another, and the ones that were, popular when I was a kid, like we have, Heli Attack play to earn in the works, and things that like super easy for a regular person to just kind of step into on mobile and join. And our plan there is same as Minecraft, right? Just build this very simple, very easy, accessible, familiar environment where folks can easily join this ecosystem to the benefit of our holders, and go from kind of like beta test to Miniclip to ultimately, I mentioned Neopets before, but the idea is like an ecosystem build out where there's a sense of progression that your characters can follow both in Minecraft and in browser, all married together in this Web3 layer where we're just our aim is to onboard as many people as possible. That's like yeah, I'm most excited about Neopets, Hero Pets, whatever we're going to call it, that finally being underway behind the scenes.
Sounds awesome. And yeah, for anyone that hasn't seen it as well, we have a whitelist giveaway going inside the Discord and the whitelist giveaways channel, and also on our Twitter. So enter both those to get your shot at a whitelist spot.
Awesome. Yeah, and I think anybody, just for the folks here, anybody goes and retweets that, I'm screenshotting your Discord names, and I'll drop one of you an anti-hero mint pass as well. I think just thank you for coming out and listening to me rant so late at night. And I appreciate your attendance, and like anybody who cares enough to listen to me talk, I think like here you go. Here's some NFT. They're on market right now for like 0.15 to 0.6, depending on the type of pass, and it'll get you a free mint. The last thing I'll say, and I want to brag on this one because I feel like it's fucking cool. We're doing the mint pass mint for free, right? So like if you have a mint pass because you were a holder, you got dropped the mint pass for free. But if you elect to contribute, right, like the humble bundle model, right? If you elect to contribute ETH to us in any context, in the context of like using that mint pass, we'll be imparting extra love onto you in a tiered scale relative to your contribution. So that like, hey, if you have no money and no liquid, you can just mint for free. But if you do and you want to contribute it to the project so that I can go hire more Google engineers is what we're using the money for. And contribute, you'll have some, limited edition artifacts all the way up some IRL experience type of access relative to contribution amounts. And I feel like that's like hoping that that's a nice marriage of like, I think like the free mint meta is fucking cool, and the whitelist mint meta before that, was less cool. And maybe this is a nice marriage of both that could be the antidote to, Dutch auction, whereby, the folks who need to mint for free or couldn't otherwise mint can mint for free, but the folks who want to contribute to the success of a project, like, and allow me to take in extra capital to go hire more engineers with, like, here's some bonuses. That I think, yeah, I'm proud of that one. I'm hoping it works out smashingly.
Can you just repeat for us what tweet you wanted people in here to retweet? I missed.
Yeah, I'll just. I'm not even gonna force anyone to do anything. I'll screenshot everyone's Discord names, and I'll just reach out to one of you after this and drop you an anti-hero mint pass.
That's nice of you.
Not bad at all.
Yeah, it's just extra love, right? It's like I like these better just because like normally when we're on spaces and it's like a couple hundred people, a few hundred people, it's obviously I'm more nervous, and these end up more intimate and we get better questions, and I can feel like I can be a little more candid, just as far as like what we're doing and what we're up to, not having to be so performative so much as just like cluing people into what we're doing. Because the reality is something like this is like, if you're considering buying the NFT or you own the NFT, you are an investor, and it's not an insubstantial investment at this point. And so, my thought is in that context, like, not a whole lot of room for gimmicky mystery there, so much as just treating folks like they're investors, are deserving to be, getting information that they would in a regular company's 10K or whatever. So that's kind of how I think about it. Can you repeat how we can contribute to the project during the mint? Yeah, so if you are on our whitelist, the whitelist mint cost is 0.13. We set it there to protect the floor price of the existing mint passes on the market. And our thought is, hey, it guarantees us if even a quarter or half of the people who are on the whitelist mint there too, enough capital to hire exactly the amount of people that we want to hire. And then in the context of those with mint passes on the market, right, the green anti-hero mint pass all the way through gold, when you go to mint with the pass, it's a Polygon NFT, fucking cool. You burn the Polygon NFT, and you get access to a free mint. And in that free mint screen, you'll have the option to basically input an elective contribution to the project, right? So if you have ETH in your wallet and you want to give us, say, 0.1 ETH, you'll just be able to input that right there on the mint screen. And if you do input 0.1 ETH, I can reveal to you, I have it in my messages with our CMO. At 0.1 ETH, you are getting, Dark Relic. So it's an anti-hero equipable, an artifact NFT that an anti-hero, one of these villains can equip. and it is of legendary rarity, and it is a big fucking scythe at 0.1 ETH, for example.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, if there aren't any other questions, I'll stop ranting at you guys, and just appreciate, obviously, you guys taking the time to have me on, and obviously your community is one that I've been following since basically our mint, right, being thrust into this world. User's Choice introduced me to a couple of folks who were behind the scenes at Crypto Monks, and I have been a fan, and I appreciate you guys taking the time, and hope that we can find ways to collab again in the future.
Yeah, appreciate the support and you coming out tonight.
Of course. Happy to know you guys, and have an excellent night, everybody.
Talk to you later.